Cage Minds Fight Hour. It's fight day up at the OK Casino. Boxing returning to northern New Mexico. And Pat Holmes joins us to talk about a sellout. If you don't got your tickets, you should have got them sooner. The redemption is sold out, I heard once again.
It is. Here we are. I mean, everyone's scrounging for, anything, one ticket, tables, anything they can get their hands on. And fortunately, the last few days, it's been closed off to that.
Sounds like a good problem to have the last couple days.
It really is, but at the same time, you really feel bad for those that didn't get opportunity to get in, and usually for other shows, they always think, well, I could always get some the last week, and Antonio Martinez is fighting 5 minutes away from his house, so it's kind of tough right now to get those seats.
The perfect place to start. Antonio Tone Martinez. It's been a while since we've seen him. He's a darling of northern New Mexico. And I mean, when we say it's been a while, I think this is kicking off the dust on about 6.5 years or so.
Oh yeah, it's been just a little bit, definitely before COVID. He had a great fight in Albuquerque right before to end it, and then I believe that was November, and come the following year, we had some things going on, some shows. January, I think Lenny Fresquez put on a terrific show in the latter part of February, and everything hit and just disoriented all of us from boxing, at least from that standpoint, and everything in general.
Has he been in the gym? How has he been looking? How are you feeling about Tone right now?
He's definitely been in the gym. In November he got there. He felt the fever, and like every other fighter, probably, right. And he gets there, and he's like, "You look, I'm gonna fight. I probably won't be ready for the Cold War because I think he was just like 191, 192 at the time, and not in bad shape, but he was hitting weights, doing some different workouts because he had been out of boxing. He's, I got to trim down, and shoot. I mean, I think up until like three and a half weeks ago, he was 151. So he's been working really, really hard and just trying to get boxing things done, timing and all the things that are important for him to perform the way he wants to.
It'd be hard for you to have found an opponent for him with more experience than Raymond Chacon.
Absolutely, he's got a ton of experience. All he does is fight, some of the top guys. He's a gatekeeper. Guys, 15-1, 15-0, those type of records. So he's going to be a challenge, and he's going to be somebody to deal with and give some fits.
Roland Nez, he is really starting to gain some momentum now at 6-0. We have something brewing in northern New Mexico with that prospect. What have you seen out of him?
Micah, I told you this last time. I expected a great fight with Daniel Gonzalez, and I mean, I think he put a valiant effort, but man, I mean, he just made light work of him. I really thought this might carry into the later rounds and be a little bit of a bloodbath. I still had Roland, but I didn't think he was gonna just eliminate him that easy. So we've got an opponent, and Efren Martinez, a tough kid out of Texas. I'm hoping that he can rise to occasion and put on a better show. Maybe give us some more rounds. But Roland's just a special kid. He's got all the tools that you need at 147. He's got the length. He's got talent. He's got power in both hands. So and we'll be seeing him for a while.
What is the attribute that we can't see that's under the surface when we talk about Eduardo Pino, another prospect? I believe he's coming out of your camp now, 2-0. What is that intangible that you've recognized that makes him special?
Oh, his confidence for the lack of experience that he brings from an amateur background. He's a very determined young athlete. He works really hard, and he's just relentless. He just goes to work, and he truly believes in himself. He comes from a great family. I think that's the background for him. His father was is really on top of him. He made sure this guy was like somebody that dotted his I's and crossed his T's, and he's actually bringing that those attributes into the ring.
And with the same record as him is um Jorge Villarreal. It's
Mhm.
Shotgun. It's Wedo. He's also coming out of the absolute boxing camp here in Albuquerque, garnered a lot of recognition and attention lately.
Oh, he has. He's Listen, he's got a great amateur background. Now he's the opposite. Nationals Blue Gold Tournament. He's been around 120 amateur fights. He knows his way around the ring, and he should be here. And he's actually, the last couple fights he's showing why. And I think he's going to be another exciting fighter as the years go by. Of course, he's still 2-0, but he'll be climbing the ladder sooner than we think. And he's got all the help and the support with a tough competitor, promoter, superstar like Donald Sanchez. So having somebody like that in your corner that knows things in and out of the ring, all the legalities and all the political, situations you guys find yourself in this business, and now from a promotional standpoint, he's a perfect guy to have in your corner.
120 amateur fights. It builds that composure where you don't really see the kid sweat.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, he's at home there. And that's the difference when you see somebody with that kind of experience. He gets in there, just, it's like sparring him, Of course, when I say that, I mean, he's still intense and he's in a big fight, but I mean, he's very cozy. He's comfortable. You don't see him, with the jitters at all. He's always ready to work, and he's a very talented fighter. Got great boxing skills, and I think he'll continue to enhance all that down the road.
Jerome Rivera is a UFC vet. He's a lifelong martial artist. This will be his second boxing match, and he said he's been in your gym preparing for this one.
You know, this is one guy that I am so glad that I've got a nice seat for this event. This guy he's so impressive. I hear great things about him and all the other disciplines that he's locked into and all that he needs to do to be a well-rounded fighter. But as far as boxing, my gosh, I walk in the gym sometimes and I think this guy looks like somebody that's 16-0, like a real tough journeyman. I mean, he has that grind to him, and the determination, the work ethic is second to none. And he's very humble, student of the game. He's always trying to learn, asking questions. He's ready to pick something up every day. But just his footwork, and just the difference that he made and the transition to the boxing. I've been very, very impressed with him. And again, like I'm excited to see him tomorrow night.
Pat Holmes kicked off the dust on his promoter gloves, and so far he's returned to the game with back to back to back now sellouts at OK Casino. Are we looking at something bigger? I know there were talks, there were plans, there were whispers, and I know, well, you love the venue up there. You could do something bigger as we're selling it out weeks before the event.
Absolutely. Listen, we've been talking about back and forth. You've heard all the rumors. We talked about it before with Angelo Leo. Look, that's one kid that deserves, if anybody deserves to fight in his home state, it's that young man. The two-time, two-division, future Hall of Famer, whatever you want to do there with this young guy. Um, Not only does he deserve, but I think most of all, the fans here deserve to see their world champion fight here. He's still in a position where he's dealing with things, from a business standpoint, from a managerial standpoint, that he'll overcome and he'll succeed that within the year. But he's definitely somebody that we need to make sure that we figure out a way to make this happen and bring him here because he's a special kid to say the least. I mean, he's got the credentials to show it. The resume just keeps building up, and it's just mandatory, in my opinion, that he's got to be back here in his home state.
Angelo Leo, the Sanchez brothers, Abraham Perez, Matthew Griego, Brian Mendoza. It feels like everything's come back around. We talked about the plethora of unbeaten prospects on your card. It feels like all the hard work from these great gyms throughout the state, a lot of things are coming back around to where we can have pride in boxing and what's going on and who's coming up.
Oh, absolutely. You look. You just mentioned a few special names. Abraham. I want congratulations to him and the success and Team Pettis and all that they're doing. They work really hard to put on some great shows and they do some great things in Albuquerque. But definitely for the whole country at some point because I think he's a talented kid. He's well spoken and he handles himself really really well in and out of the ring. So I look for some big things for them to happen too. I mean, New Mexico is everybody's doing their part and some to establish this place as fighting a fighting state and a state to be reckoned with.
It's fight night, the Redemption, OK Casino, Holmes Boxing in partnership with Donald Sanchez Promotions. It's going to be a great show. You have a good night, sir. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you always. Thank you.